Hey, hello. So, today a bit different format, because I just injured myself on a paraglider, and even though it's a pretty small injury, like these are just ligaments in the in the ankle that are torn, but still it puts me out of the business for 3 months at least. If everything goes really well and optimal the recovery, then I will be out for 3 months. And I had some plans, I had competitions, training plans and stuff, and this is all gone now. So, and I did it. I didn't do it on purpose, but in a sense, but in a sense, there were red flags and that I've ignored. And that's why this episode, because I would like to tell you a little bit more about those red flags, and so that you will be maybe more aware and you maybe understand the full seriousness of situations like this. Because I mean, even though you survive without major injury, but still you lose a lot of time of your life, kind of like in the sense, due to this. So what has happened? So I was on the takeoff. I was actually like in acro training with the club. So we were taking off, doing our program, and then landing and going back and taking off. That was the first takeoff of the day. And the other guys, they were taking off, no problem. Although there was at the beginning there was little wind, some from time to time a little bit from the front. That was the first two takeoffs, and on the third actually the wind was actually coming a little bit from behind, like 5, maybe the moments 10 kilometers, but behind from the side. And then there were moments without the wind, and this was actually where I took off. The wind actually was. I mean, the takes off, the first takeoff and the second was, I mean, the takeoff place was like a kind of pretty flat meadow, and at the end you had like a sharp, pretty like peak, and it was going down pretty steep down there with stones and very uneven terrain basically, but also meadow. So. My first takeoff was I had I had some small wind, but very little wind. I had Delta 4 as a wing for this training. So Delta 4 is not the best wing to take off at zero wind. So this is one of the factors that I see here that was involved. And then the first and second takeoff was actually, I put the wing, I was running, so front takeoff. I was running the wing over my head, look left, right, if it's open, nice, and then I kind of like jumped a little bit from this edge. And then, because the wing wasn't really, I didn't have the speed, to fly yet. So the wing was, so this moment where I loaded the wing by kind of like stepping into the void. This was the moment where it actually started to fly. This was my first and the second takeoff, and the third was the same. And I remember thinking that after those first two takes, that it's not so as it should be. Kind of like it's a little bit yeah, that it's a little bit sketchy in the sense that that I kind of like I'm not stable before the decision to take off. Kind of like so I had this sentiment. I registered this. But anyway, I went there again, and the third takeoff was again. So the wind was blowing a little bit more from behind, from the side. So I waited for the moment without the wind, and this was where I did exactly the same thing. And yeah, but this time I went down, and there was, I'm not pretty sure because it was happening pretty quick. But yeah, it was problematic from the very beginning. I could identify this as a problematic from the beginning. I was following more or less this slope, and then there was a moment I was in the air, and then I was just falling vertically and on my feet, and then yeah, and then I got a lot of pain from after touching the feet to the ground. I mean, kind of like falling. I got a lot of pain in the feet, so I fall over basically, and I got a hit to my side, and then I stepped. And I was pretty lucky because other guys from the club, they were still there, so I wasn't the last. they came to help me. One of them was actually like had like a medical training, so first aid training, so he was able to help me in a very professional manner with this. And the other, actually, when I asked them, they've seen me actually that, I mean, they haven't seen this from the very beginning, but in the last phase they've seen that I spun the wing, and this was the reason why I finally crashed. So yeah, so what has happened probably was that because we have no video, and what has to happen is the wind was probably a little bit from behind. I was too slow, and when I jumped, I was running down the hill a little bit for a moment. Probably then my hand went down, and when I get into the air, I spun the wing, and then I crashed. So this is the most probable cause of this. So I was not aware actually of what my hands are doing, while I was a little bit overwhelmed of how the situation is evolving. Me going, going down this, I mean, kind of like flying, going down this hill, but not really flying. So this is my assessment of what has happened there. And now, what were the factors actually that were involved? So the first factor that I see here was I wasn't 100% well slept on that day. So I would assess my mental state, like, I mean, mental freshness and the abilities. Maybe they were 70%, I imagine. So I wasn't 100% fit. I slept a little bit too less, like 2 nights before, too little. I mean, few hours, but not my usual amount. So this is the first factor. Second, I'm a little bit overweight. I have like something like 7 kilos over the perfect weight. So it's also a factor. Like if you fall on your feet and you're a little bit overweight, then yeah, then you have those extra kilos on you. And then other factor was, of course, that we were in the group, and the conditions were, if I were alone, probably I wouldn't take off. Maybe less probably I would take off with the wind blowing behind. Actually, I don't take off with the wind blowing behind from time to time. But we were in the group, we were going up and down, and the other guys that were taking off also. They were also guys taking off with acro wings, which are much more difficult to take off than my wing. So this was something that assured me that that's still kind of like doable. And the other aspect, of course, is that I had a bad criteria for the decision, kind of like, because I should kind of like prepare more behind this flat, get more speed, be running more quickly, and at the moment where the hill goes really down, and when I have to kind of like jump in the air, kind of like, that I'm more confident that the wing is keeping me in the air. So and here, as also in the previous flights, my decision was the wing is over my head, there is open left, right, and then I decided kind of like to jump into the void, and this was stupid. And it worked 2 times, but then in the third time it didn't. So it was just unnecessary risk that I took because of that. And so the decision, so there's the moment actually where you put your wing over your head, check everything is fine, and then you decide to take off, kind of like to start to run. And yeah, and I had too little space in front of me actually to do it properly. So at the end of the day, I had to decide if I jump or not, and not if I take off, but if I really jump. And this was that was another stupid thing. And then once I started to run down on this thing, I was not aware what my hands are doing, and this is something you see. I fly a lot, and still it has happened to me, which means that either I have some lack of training, and maybe you can comment on how do you do that in any situations you are aware of what your hands are doing. But yeah, but it has happened. So there is still either we'll have to figure out actually how to do it that you are always aware, but that I'm always aware of what my hands are doing. But of course, yeah, this is just one of the factors here. So summing up, a few of those factors coming together. So I was for sure complacent here, because those takes off before they were shitty. But anyway, I did them, and I was going for the third one, just complacency. And then I was also a little bit negligent, in the sense that I knew that the wind is coming a little bit from behind, and I just waited for the moment without the wind. And actually, I had many takes off like this, but I should have understand that, you know, the other takes off, they were already like sketchy, and the wind was not so visibly from side behind like this time. So yeah, I neglected those conditions, worsening a little bit. So this is the negligence for sure. And then lack of training. I take off very little with little wind. So I have not much experience with this. You do it a lot of in Colombia basically. And I remember in Colombia it's also a little bit like that was not always the best. My takes off. I very rarely actually take off the front. So it's also something that you may train with ground handling, but I do little ground handling. Actually, my takes off to the front, they aren't bad, but yeah, but still, maybe that would be another factor to be more consistent, or kind of like, to improve something. That would be to do more ground handling, or takes off to the front with a little less wind, because I typically take off with more wind in thermal conditions. So, and then yeah, and that would be it actually. So from the thing, but the most important thing that I just actually probably the most important thing to notice, that I wasn't aware actually how much I risk, because I could maybe imagine that I can break feet or something like this. Yeah, but I just was not aware of the consequences of that. And this is probably the problem where you get you do some stupid things like the previous takes off, or I did actually some more stupid things like in the last years. But you're lucky, and kind of like nothing happens at the end of the day, or maybe you just get something really major that it's not stopping you from flying. And now I got myself in the situation where I'm like 3 months. If everything goes perfectly, then I'm 3 months out of flying. And this is pretty kind of like yeah, if I would think about this more about the fact that mistakes will cost you. I mean, it can cost you life or heavy injury, or you get yeah, there are worse things that are happening. But even in this like more optimistic scenario, you have like many months without flying, and this is yeah, and this is something that I wasn't really aware. I mean, I wasn't so aware of that. And yeah, so again, pretty long video. Let's see if someone got to the end of this. In case you did, yeah, then I think you should subscribe because it shows that you are pretty motivated. And yeah, and if you like this, then like. If you didn't, then don't. And please unlike, so that I know that it's a shitty format. And yeah, and there is this button, whatever, you click it so that you know this notifications. And yeah, and see you watching another video soon. Hopefully, I mean, yeah, for sure that's not gonna be mine, because now I'm pretty, like, say, I'm pretty, I'm now switched to really like easy life. And I was pretty lucky because I have no pain, and yeah, and yeah, so I was really lucky. So I have now a normal life almost, but very like kind of like yeah, how you call it, boring kind of like life again. and so maybe I will be able to do some nice videos in the channel, so it's another reason to subscribe. Yeah, so have a nice day, and see you watching another video soon.